Okay, hey Year 10, so I just thought I'd put out another short video guide on the third assessment task. What I want to go through in this one is standard deviation, stem and leaf plots, box and whisker plots, and side-by-side column graphs. So I've had a few questions about those things, and I thought so that everyone gets the same information, we'll just do another video. So let's get into it. We've got second slide here, finding the standard deviation. Okay, so let's bring out our calculator. We're going to need a calculator for this. Okay, now what I want to do is take you through how we'd find the sample standard deviation for these two sets of data. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is clear the calculator's memory. Okay, so to do that, we're going to go Shift 9. So above the 9, you can see CLR. Okay, now I want to press number 3 because I just want to clear it all. Equals for yes, and we're done. Okay, so that's given my calculator, it's cleared the memory. It's like pressing the home button on your iPod. You're back to square one. You're back to zero. So we can enter some fresh data into it and know that it isn't going to be interfered with by any other data that may have been stored on there. Okay, so let's start the standard deviation process. So I want to go into stats mode. Okay, so I'm going to press mode stat. Okay, now we're interested in the variance. Okay, so we're going to look at number 1 for that menu there. All right, that brings up the table for me to enter the data in. Okay, so to do that, I'm just going to press 5 equals, and that puts the 5 in the first spot, and we'll do that for the rest. So 8, 7, and 6.5. Okay, now when I'm finished entering my data, you actually press the AC button. So it seems a bit weird, seems like you're getting rid of it, but it is stored in there once you put it in that table. So press the AC, and now we want to go to the stat menu. So we want to figure out some things with the numbers that we've put in. Okay, so to do that, I want to go to this stat menu above the number 1. Okay, so because it's in yellow, I need to press Shift. Okay, so Shift 1. And like I said before, we're interested in the variance. So we're looking at number 4. Okay, now this is an important point here. The SX is the sample standard deviation. Okay, this other one, sigma X, is when you're looking at the standard deviation for a whole population. Okay, now in the assessment task, we've just got a sample of people. Okay, so we want number 4. Okay, so that brings that up on your calculator. Press equals, and there's our sample standard deviation. Okay, so what was that? It was 1.5, I think. Yep, so 1.516. So if we round that off to 2 decimal places, we get 1.52. Okay, so let's put that on. Give me a second. So S X equals 1.52. All right, so let's go back to our calculator. What I want to talk about now is what effect is this larger one here going to have on the data, on the sample standard deviation, okay? So if you look at these scores, you know, they're between 5 and 9. Okay, these ones are between 5 and 60.5. So what I hope you're realizing is that the sample standard deviation, which is a measurement of how spread out the data is going to be a lot larger. Okay, so let's do that. So I'll do the same process again. We want to clear our calculator, back to stats mode. We're interested in the first one, and we'll enter the data we need. So 5. And this time 60.5. Okay, so once I've entered my data, all clear, and we go back to the stats menu, and we want variance, sample standard deviation. And as you can see, the standard deviation is much bigger here, and that's telling you, hey, it's much more spread out. Okay, that set of data you've put in compared to the first set is significantly more spread out. So that's going to be 23.86. Okay, so now why I'm mentioning that is one of the questions is asking you to compare two sets of data using their standard deviations. Okay, so remember this is a measurement of spread. Measurement of spread. So naturally, the bigger the number, the more spread out the data is. So that might help you with some of the questions on the task. All right, let's keep going. So what is a stem and leaf plot? All right, so here's an example of a back-to-back stem and leaf plot. All right, so we can see we've got two sets of data and we've put them on the same stem and leaf plot. Okay, so this is our back-to-back stem and leaf, stem and leaf. And another thing I want you to notice is this data is in order. Okay, and as it goes from left to right, on the right-hand side, it's getting bigger. So it's ascending that way. But you might notice on the left-hand side of the stem and leaf plot, it's getting bigger as we go that way. So keep that in mind when you're constructing your stem and leaf plot. Okay, so I'm going to keep moving, but feel free to pause it and take a look at the other notes on this page. All right, guide to box plots. So in the Google Drive folder I've shared with you, I've emailed you all a link to that. There are some PDF documents called Box Plots Guide and 5-number summary.pdf. Okay, so if you're struggling or need a bit of guidance with how to make your box plot, check out those documents. Okay, I'm not going to go through the whole process on this video, but I do want to just point out the features of the box and whisker plot. Okay, so here's a question for you to pause and have a go at. So pause this video, have a look at that question, see how you go. I'll give you a second to do that and then we'll go through it. Okay, so find the median, Q2. So this line here is our median. Okay, so the central line is the median, and that's also Q2. The Q stands for quartile, so that's our second quartile. All right, the maximum score will oh, and by the way, that was 15, so that's 15. The maximum score, so the very highest score is up here. That's where we put that on our box and whisker plot. So this is our high score, and in this case, it's 25. Okay, lower quartile, so this location here. So we've got our quartiles here. We've got Q1 there, Q2 here, sorry about that black line, and Q3 there. Okay, so Q1 is going to be at 10, so Q1 equals 10, right? And I'm just reading off the scale there. The minimum, okay, so the minimum score is this one here, so here's our min, and that looks like it's equal to 5. All right, so I should probably point to that point there. All right, the range. So range, hopefully you remember range is the highest score minus the lowest score. So high minus low. Okay, for this example, that's going to be 25 minus 5. So our range will be 20. Upper quartile I pointed out was this one here, so that's Q3 equals 20. Okay, now lastly, the interquartile range. So the interquartile range is equal to Q3, so the upper quartile, minus the lower quartile, which is Q1. All right, and in this case, that is 20 minus 10. So our interquartile range is 10. All right, and as you get into statistics, you'll know that the interquartile range is where the middle 50% of the data lies. Okay, and that's more useful to know than the range, because sometimes the range can be affected by extremely high or extremely low scores. Okay, but that's probably outside the scope of this assignment. So again, pause and have another look, or rewind, have another look if you need to, and definitely check out the Google Drive folder I shared with you, which you should have a link for in your emails. Lastly, example of a side-by-side column graph. So it's just a normal column graph, guys, except we've got two sets of data on it. Okay, so in this example here, which you might want to pause and have a look at, we've got the prevalence of smoking in males and females across a variety of age groups. Okay, so it's just allowing us to look at the trends in two sets of data, in this case males and females smoking, across time and side by side, as the name suggests. Okay, so that'll do for this video. If you need help, make sure you contact one of your teachers. Try and arrange a time to sit down with them and get some help. I'll be in B1 at lunchtimes this week, and yeah, make sure you get help. Don't just don't sit there and not get it done because you're waiting on something to happen. Okay, so lastly, it is due on Thursday, period 5, and we are looking at possibly moving that because of what happened with work experience, and a lot of people missed it. But for now, don't bank on that. Okay, for now, the due date is still Thursday, period 5. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. Thanks, guys. Good luck.